Okay, sorry guys for the noise in the background. The dishwasher is running. But I just wanted to do, we are actually going to be taking an impromptu outing today with Danny. Since it's impromptu, he's not charged up, so I won't have him on. My mother-in-law and I are going to take the kids to a children's museum. There's like a pioneer type village, so my son asked to bring Danny with us, so of course mommy can't say no. I'm going to try to show some little things, maybe get a few if I get a few reactions, maybe show those, but I will be leaving Danny in the stroller in the car seat like this. You can see Teffy, looks like she's falling over. Teffy! Hi! Teffy! You gonna make any noise? You gonna talk? Like, yeah, right, lady. But yeah, hopefully I can get a few reactions taking them to the Pioneer Village. Per usual, I probably won't. I'm going to try not to show my kids, but they might appear, so I might have to blur them out. But whatever. I hope we have a fun day, so I'll see everybody in a bit when we get there. Hi guys, it is actually way too hot to go to the Children's Museum. So we stopped at Once Upon a Child, but we weren't there very long, and we decided to come over to Toys R Us. We've got Danny in the stroller and car seat. I've got the kids with me, so let's go see what we can find. Hi. Slow. So I said slow. Yes.
Are those bumper cars?
No, I don't know what they are. Slow down. Getting that. Because they have to sell everything. Stop, Mom. So we are back at the car. I showed a little bit in the store. I needed to edit that differently because of the sound. They had music really loud. Our Toys R Us doesn't. This one does, but I am going to get him out. Put him in the car. Hopefully you guys don't fall. But I will have a haul probably tomorrow, because I got some stuff here and I got some stuff at Once Upon a Child. I didn't get much at either, but spent more here. I got a few things to put on eBay on my eBay store, so kids are already in the car, so I am going to get him loaded. And we are probably just going to go eat. I am not sure where yet. I have to go find something. There's a reason we came down to... I can take these off. The reason why we came down to Waco. And I have to go pick it up. Yeah, they will fit in here. I was trying to figure out where I was going to put those when I wasn't using them. It's easier to fold it without them, but we... Shh. I'm not exactly sure where we're going to eat. We're going to eat before we leave because we didn't eat lunch. There he is, snapped in. And I'm trying not to wiggle around too much. I know I get really, really motion sick. Some videos, so I was trying to walk very slowly in the store. My kids were pulling the stroller, so I apologize if it's really shaky and it makes people sick. That wasn't my intention. But I hope you enjoyed, because yeah, I wish we would have come to this Toys R Us a lot sooner. I know my mother-in-law had said she preferred this one to the one that's near us that we usually went to. And I always went to the other one because it was closer, but this one is huge. It almost had like a mini Babies R Us in it. I've not been to a dedicated Toys R Us that had this much of like baby clothes and such. So I really wish I would have came sooner, because there is stuff I kind of lucked out and found here, but it's the wrong sizes, but I got it anyways. Of what I've been wanting, but hopefully I'll get a bit of video while we're eating. Obviously I don't really like to show my kids, but and then when we get home, this isn't like a too long video, but see you all in a bit. So we're at the park. Instead of going out to eat, we went and got food and came to the park. My daughter's sitting over there on the side, and my son's up on that side. So we decided, I'm like, you know, we can stop and eat somewhere, or we can go get fast food. I know, not the healthiest, and go to the park. And they decided to go to the park. She is just enthralled over there with these basketball players. We're done eating. I couldn't really get much then because the park was still kind of busy. And yeah, it just looks weird talking to yourself. But yeah, I've got a little bit of haul. I did get a reaction. I got a couple of reactions. I will talk about those when I get home. But I didn't get them on film, sadly. One of them was at Toys R Us when we were at the checkout. I got one when we were at Once Upon a Child. I didn't film anything at Once Upon a Child. We weren't there really long. I didn't plan on even really going there. We got into town, and the lady that I was supposed to meet, I had messaged her and I hadn't got a reply back. And we were near the Once Upon a Child, so I'm like, you know, let's go do this. Let's just go stop over there. And while we were there, of course, she messaged me. So we went and picked up what we were supposed to. And yeah, so I will talk more when we get home. Bye. So we are home now. We had a good day. In a way, I wish I could have had him on, but I was driving. It was just me and the kids today. So I had to drive, and I really couldn't tend to him if he started crying while we were driving. And the one downside to having a RealCare 3 is, even if he would have been charged up, in order for me to take him anywhere like that, I would need to bring my other laptop with and the X stick and everything. Where the 2 Plus, I could just pop, or not pop the batteries. I could use the ID or control if I wanted to. And with the 2, you can just put the batteries in and do the quick start, or you could use the control. So anyways, we did, like I've mentioned, we were going to go with my mother-in-law, but she texted me when we were at my son's soccer game saying she had to work late, and she wouldn't get off work till almost 7 o'clock. And I told the person that I was picking something up that I would be there sometime this afternoon. And it's about an hour's drive to where I went to pick it up. So anyways, the kids and I decided to go. When we got there, I texted the lady, yeah, we're in town. And it took a while for a reply. And while we were waiting for a reply, I had just typed in an address that I knew was or that was kind of close to the area or in the town. And it was Once Upon a Child. So we went over to Once Upon a Child. I got a few things there. I'll show it in the haul later. And then she texted me back while literally we were leaving Once Upon a Child and said that she had to run to the store. Or no, I texted her that we were in town. And we were waiting and waiting and waiting, and the kids were getting antsy in the car, and I knew there was a Toys R Us nearby, so I'm like, well, let's go over to Toys R Us. Of course, just as we pull into the Toys R Us parking lot, she's like, well, here's the address, and I'm thinking, okay, we just got to Toys R Us. First she wanted to meet, then she wanted me to come pick it up. Either way, I didn't care. But as long as we were at Toys R Us, I'm like, I was thinking where she had said we would meet to begin with, but she never said where. You know, Toys R Us was over by the mall, and I kind of wanted to go to the mall as well, but we didn't make it there. And there was a reason for that, because my kids want to go to Build-A-Bear, and my daughter has a kitty that needs to be fixed, and my son has his autism bear that needs to be fixed. And we didn't bring them because we weren't planning to go to Build-A-Bear. So anyways, we went to we're at the Toys R Us parking lot, and of course they're all excited because I see Toys R Us. So I text her back, I'm like, well, we're at Toys R Us. I'm going to take the kids in and let them look around for a little bit. And so I'm like, I'll let you know when we're done. She's like, okay, that'll work, because I need to run over to the dollar store by my house. I'm like, okay, whatever. She's like, just let me know when we're done. And we were at Toys R Us longer than I expected. We walked all around that Toys R Us. This was like a combo take that back. I've been to like a combo Toys R Us. That's Toys R Us / Babies R Us in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So half of the store is like a full Babies R Us, and a half of the store, well, not a full Babies R Us, like a partial Babies R Us, but they still have like the couple aisles, or like one aisle just of strollers, one aisle just of car seats, one aisle of like pack and plays on one side, swings on the other. And I mean, I've been to an actual full Babies R Us where like half of the store had display furniture set up. The combo ones don't really have furniture set up in them. They have like crib bedding and stuff like that, but they don't have like furniture, where a real Babies R Us has the furniture. And then the other half of the store is like a regular Toys R Us. This one wasn't quite as big as a combo store, but like one section, or when you walked in, it was similar to a Babies R Us combo store, but it was a smaller section, but it was bigger than a regular Toys R Us. So like the Toys R Us that we have here, they literally had one side was like pack and plays, bouncers, and what was it? It was pack and plays, bouncers, and like rock and play type things. Then the center, or then you'd go down the next aisle, and that was only on one side. The other side was bikes. Then you'd go down the next aisle, and the next aisle had like car seats on one side and strollers on the other side. And they only had like a few car seats and a few strollers, like 2 infant seats, two convertible seats, 1 combination seat. They actually only had the Britax Frontier there, and then a couple boosters. And some of the boosters they didn't even have out of the box on display. And the other side had like the strollers and travel systems. Then you went down the other aisle and it was only one side of the aisle, because the other side was like baby gates and stuff like that. But on the other side for baby gear, it was just like high chairs and like extra saucers and jumpers and things like that. That's all that was. I mean, and the aisles literally weren't that big. And then for the rest of it, like I said, there wasn't much in it. The Fargo store was pretty similar in how it was set up to the one close by us in Killeen. And so this one in Waco, they had a lot more, like, obviously now stuff has been cleared out, but they had like 2 aisles of just car seats, and they had another big aisle of like pack and plays and stuff that was left. A lot of their big stuff was kind of picked over, which obviously by now they're at 30% or up to 40%. Most of the stuff is still 20%. And so we were looking around. Then we started noticing signs, and I asked a manager about it, or excuse me, an employee about it, because there was also signs that said today only, an additional 10% off. This location only. Like, okay. So I don't know if they're trying to clear out that store quicker or what, because there were some shelves that were starting to look bare. So I'm assuming that one's going to close quicker than the Killeen one, because the Killeen one is still getting trucks in. When we were there last week to pick something up for my son's birthday, I asked the store manager, and she said that their store, they're saying anytime between June and December is when they're actually going to close. She goes, we honestly don't know. And she goes, we're still getting trucks in. And she goes, we don't know when the trucks are even going to stop. So anyways, back to the Waco one. We walked around there, and they had a nice section of baby clothes, where like the Fargo one and the Killeen one didn't even have baby clothes. They had like this little like rack that would occasionally have baby clothes on it. Something like if somebody got it off of registry, it got, or they went to a Babies R Us and ended up returning it, or they ordered it online and it didn't work. It was just basically where you put the returned clothes, and it was not a very big section. And it always had different things in it. It was never, like, you would never find 2 of the same things in this section. So anyways, this had like a whole section of baby clothes. And I was so happy because I found 2 things that I had been wanting that when I looked online, they were sold out. And I will show that in my haul. And there was another thing that I got because I've been looking for this specific item. And I've been looking online and I could not find it anywhere. And like when I saw it there, I paid more than I really wanted to for like a store closing, even in general. But I couldn't find it anywhere. I've looked on like Ally. I've looked on our AliExpress. I've looked on Wish. I've looked on eBay. I've looked on Amazon. And I couldn't find what exactly I was looking for, and I found it at this Toys R Us. And then the kids wanted to kind of go up and down looking at all the aisles, which was fine with me, just kind of killing time. And so this is where like I didn't get any of the reactions because I only filmed in like the Babies R Us type area, or the babies section. I didn't film when we were in the rest of the store because we were walking pretty fast, and I don't like to film. I like to go slowly because I know in some videos like people are whipping the camera around and walking really fast and moving it up and down. I get motion sick. Like there's one channel that I actually had to stop watching outing videos altogether because every time I watched an outing video, it was an instant headache. It was somebody that films on their phone, and they're constantly moving like the camera when they're walking. And so I can't watch them anymore because it was an instant migraine. It was nauseous. There was times that I literally had to go lay down for a couple hours to get like that feeling to go away because I get so motion sick. And that was like, I'm sitting still and this camera's just shaking everywhere. So anyways, when we were in like the regular toy section of Toys R Us, there was this lady that she didn't say anything to me, but she was kind of following us around, like she was trying to gauge if he was real or not. And it's kind of funny because his head was sitting the way it is now, so he's kind of looking off to the side. But he has no eyebrows and he has no eyelashes. And as you can tell, he doesn't blink. Like, she followed us a good 2 or 3 aisles, like literally behind, and she kept like looking over my shoulder. Because at some points my daughter was pushing the stroller because she wanted to. Some of it I was because she would get distracted. But this lady kept following us around. She never once asked, which I mean, which I was trying not to laugh about. And then finally, I think she gave up trying to figure it out. Or she finally, oh, that has to be a doll, and walked away. Then when we went up to pay. So we get up there to pay, and after the cashier handed me, like, my daughter was standing behind the stroller, like at the handlebar, and I was standing in front of the stroller paying. So the cashier really couldn't see the stroller. Or in the stroller. She could see the stroller. And she, you know, we were ringing it up, and she was saying how this one was going to be closing in June. And that's why I think there was the additional 10% off. They're trying to get stuff going quicker. But anyways, they have these Squish Delicious Jeffrey birthday cakes that my kids had been wanting. They were supposed to be this year's birthday prize. Each kid for their birthday gets a would get a card in the mail, and you'd go to Toys R Us and they'd get like $3 off a $5 purchase, and then they'd get like a free item. Like the last 2 years it was a Jeffrey giraffe with a book. And this year it was supposed to be these Squish Delicious. Well, my kids were upset that they wouldn't be getting them. Well, when we went up there, they had some at the front by the registers, and I asked the lady, I'm like, how much are they? And she rung them up, and she told me the price with the extra 10% off. So I'm like, you know what, I'm going to take them all. So she rings them all up. My daughter's constantly, why are we getting them all? Why are we getting them all? The reason why we're getting them all is because there's a few groups that I'm on that people are begging for these things. Like, their Toys R Us are completely out. In fact, our Colleen one never got them in. The Fargo one got some in, but they were hiding them because people were stealing them. So unless you went up and asked an employee specifically about them, it would look like they had none. But anyway, so I bought them all, and all that they had left. And then so she puts everything in the bag, and my daughter's, oh, I'm so sad that you're closing. I'm sad you're closing. I'm going to miss you guys, blah, 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 stuff like that. And then, so I pay, she hands me my bag, and I throw the bag on top of him. And it looks like her eyes bugged out. Like, not even thinking, because I forgot to put my mommy clip on, or mommy hook on the stroller. And it didn't even dawn on me to throw it underneath the basket, because I'm used to strollers that don't really have that big of a basket, or they're a pain to get to. So I never really used the baskets. And anyways, like the look on the lady's face when I threw the bag on top of him was like, oh my God, you're going to suffocate your kid. And I don't think she ever realized he was fake. And then at Once Upon a Child, there was one employee, and like I said, I didn't even take my camera into Once Upon a Child because I didn't plan on being there that long, and we weren't there that long. We were walking around, and my kids were just looking at the toys they had there, and an employee walked by, and she kind of did a double take, and then she looked at me, and she's like, that's a doll, right? And she was just like kind of confused, and I started laughing, and I'm like, yeah, he's a doll. And she's like, oh, okay, and just walked away. And the last one was when we were at the park. So we're at the park, and like I had said, when we were at the park, when we first got there, it was pretty busy. And we're sitting down to eat, and there's bees flying everywhere. And my kids are kind of freaking out. And I'm not even looking in the stroller. And this one lady freaked out because she saw a bunch of bees coming towards the car seat. And then she looks in and she's like, "You don't want your baby to get stung. They're too young. They're too young. They're too young." And then I'm like, "I'm not worried about it. Don't worry about it." "Well, you don't know if they're allergic." And I mean, she was sincerely concerned about him. And then she came over and she came to where she could see him. I'm like, "I'm not worried about it." And then she kind of looks and I'm like, "It's vinyl. I'm not worried about bees stinging it." And then she's like, "Huh?" And I'm like, we're at a park and it's still pretty busy because my son asked to bring the doll with, since we were going to go to the children's museum. I collect dolls. My son asked to bring it with us today when we went out, or we went up to Waco and did some stuff. And my son asked to bring it with, and I go, "If I leave it in the car, somebody's going to break my window." And she's like, "Oh yeah, they probably will." And then she had a good laugh about it, and she asked a few more questions about him, and then she went back to her, I'm assuming it's a daughter. It might be daughter-in-law. The kids kept calling her grandma, and the younger lady mom. So, like I said, I'm assuming grandma. Well, obviously no, it's grandma, but I don't know if it was her daughter or daughter-in-law. So those were the kind of reactions. I really wish I could have got them on film. And I know now adding this end piece on, it's a kind of a rambly video. But this week, or tomorrow, let's see what day is. Tomorrow's video will probably be a haul video. I'm gonna, even though I already had a haul video for the week, I'll do the haul video of the stuff that I got today. So I hope everybody has a great week, and I will see you later. Bye.